and show you what I did. So basically, you saw how I did that one shape, right? Well, what we do a lot in Illustrator, let me work with one thing first, is this object. So I have this object, and it's a big piece, but there's really two pieces here. And so often we build bigger pieces because it might be a background. And then we build the detail for the foreground. So all I did was duplicate. And trust me, I would not like doing any of this if I could not copy and paste or duplicate. Who wants to recreate the wheel, right? So what I did is I highlight this, and you come up here and you can duplicate. Very, very important to remember this, because it's like your original source. You don't want to eliminate that or edit that. You want it to be the way it was because you might need it. If you don't want it, just turn it off by the eyeball. So I duplicated it. I don't want to delete it, so therefore I locked it to remind me, don't delete this. And I turned it off. And now I came in here, and so I made 3 actually, because the third one is what I did here. Now what I want to show you that I did is that I duplicated it. I turned off the fill like that. I'll do it again. So I have to select it. There's a lot of selecting in Illustrator. So you always got to like double check. And so now I have that, it's duplicated. I have it for this one and this one. And how did I split it? I can't see anything, right? So I just turn off the fill. And then I come up here, and because my tools are all together now, thanks to the version, and it should be the same for you, you come up here to the eraser tool. There is a scissor tool and there is an X-Acto tool. The scissor tool is all I need at this step. The X-Acto tool, I'll show that to you in a second. These 3 tools are just brilliant. And all I needed to do was to come up here and go right here. Let me zoom in for you. Let me do my Z key. Back to the scissors. All I needed was to cut right here on the line. And if I cut here, it's going to go, mistake. So really zoom in, folks, and get it right on the line. And then up here, right on the line. And so now I have 2 separate things. Now, I know that I have the left side, so I can delete that. You see how it's turned on? So I can delete that. And so because I have it here, right? I did that on break. And so now I'm going to build the second part of the object. So I go back to my pen tool, and I should select this at this point. So I'll select the point like that. And now I'm going to pick up my pen tool again. And I'm going to pick it up like so. And now I'm going to add this. Again, really fast. I want it to simplify. And I hover, and you wait for that circle, really tiny. And now there it is. So now I have the 2 of them based on what are the 2 objects. Now, obviously, I can move that in there so it's smooth and so forth. I don't know if I want to have it anchored open or closed, whatever it is. Right now, that's too much detail. I'm trying to get the job done. Fast is important. So you get the overarching shape, and then you start fine-tuning it in details slowly, but after the fact of getting it. So I want to zoom out quickly, view, fit all in window, space bar, and now I see that. So now you can see, so I don't need this anymore because I just did what I wanted. So I can delete that. Oh, didn't delete, hold on. Because, come back here, I have to deselect, unselect, and turn that off, turn this on, don't need that, highlight. Now I can delete it with confidence because I know I have this one. Nope, not that one. I have this one, and I have that one, and I have this one. And so I can just keep that because I might need it for the overarching silhouette when I merge things. So that's the important context of duplicating. Really important step in any program. So now let's get to that curve that we had. So the curve, make sure this is the curve. Yes, this is the curve. So the curve, let's zoom in. I said to you that it was a stroke. It was not a shape. So first off, let's turn this off so you can see this. This is why we have the stroke. The stroke is a very important window because when you start drawing freehand or you start using the pen tool, you want your line to be exactly what you want. So at this point, I don't want that cutoff line. I want it to be smooth. So I can do that by simply changing it here. And it changes it all around. So stroke is important. And when it starts going to angles, these tools will make it different. You also can do a dashed line. And you can change things up. All kinds of things to talk about as far as when we get into brushes. Super, really cool. In fact, I just found a tutorial on something that was like, whoa, nice, we can do that now? Really fun stuff. So, but the point to be made here is that this object is still a line, not a shape. It is a stroke. How do I know that? Because here it is. That's the color that it is. And the vector is going through the middle of it. I want the vector to become a shape so that the points are on the outside of the line. How do you do that? Well, when I was perusing back to the old tools, I'm going to show you, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to do this. Now the points, as you can see, are on the outside of the line. And so, and if you notice here, there's a way, hold on, let me highlight this for a second. There is a way to change those colors. I'm not going to find it right now, but I'll get to it another day. Because you see it's red, and maybe I want to change that color. You can do that. But the point to be made is that now you see that point is on the outside. Now I have much more control. Yes, you can put a gradient on a stroke, but sometimes you want to make it a shape. Well, the point to be made is, how do I make it a shape? So let's go back. Let's turn this off. Let's go back to the original line, which is the line that is the stroke. And how do I know that? Because it's going through it. And you come up here to Object, and now this is when you go to your tools. You go to Object, and you go to Path first. You think, well, gee, I want to take this path and make it a shape. No shape tool around here. Don't see anything here. Ah, here is shape. Convert to shape. You would think it would do that, but watch, it gives me a prompt, and it goes, nope, doesn't do that. So that tool is not working for me. But what I knew that it would do, because we've gotten some new tools here, they've changed things up, but really what we want, which has been here since day one of Illustrator, is what we call expand. So expand is very unique to vector, not Photoshop at all. And what it does is it breaks out this line to become a shape. So now I will do expand. So watch what happens. And it says, do you want to be a fill and a stroke? And I go, sure do. And now it is a shape. But the thing to remember is you don't want to lose that line, because watch what happens. And we'll wrap this up because we're near the end. If I wanted to change this line like this, oops, sorry, deselect, come up here and watch when I hover. I can move that shape and change that line, right? Because it is a vector line. We love this in animation because it's doing, like if I have eyebrows, I can change the eyebrows really easy, right? I don't have to redraw the eyebrow. I just warp it. Now, watch what happens when I go back to that other line that was the shape. So this is the shape, and say, gee, I want to change that line now. It is a shape, but watch what happens when I try to change the shape of the line. E, I don't want that. Oh, really don't want that. That is why you duplicate. So you don't lose the original source. So if I wanted to change this line, as I said before, then I would duplicate it again, and then I would do expand again, and it would make the shape become the shape of the new line. So this is why it's really important to duplicate. Oops, that turns that off, interesting. So that's why it's important to remember that. And so this is what we're doing when we're tracing our object. And all you need are the tools that I just showed you tonight. The pen tool takes you time, right? I showed you how to add a point or delete a point, to use a Bezier curve. So now the Bezier curve, just to let you know, let's go back to that, since we have about 10 more minutes. On here, let's get this, where are we? Which one do I have? I have the one down the middle. The Bezier curve, it either makes the curve or it takes the curve away. Whatever it is, it does the opposite. So it's curved. So if I don't want it curved, it will make it become angular. If I want a curve, it will make a curve. If I don't want a curve, and you can actually do one side by taking the other end here and clicking it, and now that one's straight, but the other one's curved. So it's a really powerful tool. Takes a little time to get used to it, but it's a go-to. It's a really good go-to tool for people who are not what we call traditional illustrators. It lets you draw, period. That's all I have to say. You can trace, you can mash things up, bring multiple pictures in to composite one and trace it. There are no rules when it comes to design and creativity. So people who love to draw, who want to draw, use often the brush tool and the blob tool, and we'll get into that. But right now, we have to draw with accuracy to get, what we want. And remember the aspect about moving the Bezier curve on one side and not the other. That will drive you crazy. It's like, I don't want it to move the other side. Does anybody remember what I did?
The Alt key?
Yeah, Alt key or Command key if you're on a Mac. So Alt key down, press it down, use a white arrow, and there you have just that one side. Now, if you get a lot of kinks, like if I add this here, manually, it could be slightly off. Well, this is a pretty good curve, but it could be slightly off. You might want to delete. You'd be surprised at how little points you actually need. And we'll do more of that next week. Like make a circle out of a triangle. So don't always feel that you need points. Less is more in points as well as in design.